and we're going to be talking about Scott Wyatt, the rigger. And I tell you what, the pig rig is tired of these riggers. Bill Carrico, the rigger, Todd Pillion, the rigger. Now we got Scott Wyatt, the rigger. We had Scott Sayer, the rigger. He's getting tired of these riggers because the pig rig is the original rig. And so here's what he has to say. Let's go right to the pig rig.
Okay, we on? Well, folks, we knew it was coming. For those who don't know me, this is Pete's Pig Rig. The barbecue smoker Pete Snyder is hauling around Virginia as he's running for lieutenant governor. What? Never heard of a talking barbecue smoker? Ha! Seems old Pete's bold conservative ideas are hitting home. Conservative leaders across the state, Oliver North to Mike Ferris, say Pete Snyder's the best conservative to lead Virginia forward. Makes me proud. Pete's a true outsider. So surprise! All them political insiders will say anything to stop Pete. Emails, robocalls, all the tricks they know. They don't want an outsider crashing their party. So we gotta smoke them out. That's where I come in. If you want to shake things up in Richmond, Pete's your guy. Take it from this ironclad conservative. Pete Snyder for lieutenant governor. Proven conservative and world-certified barbecue judge. Yep, you heard me right. All right, pig rig out.
Paid for and authorized by Pete Snyder for lieutenant governor.
All right, we got to go back to Throwback Thursday, that ad from 2013 in the Pete Snyder for Lieutenant Governor campaign. 6 years ago, the pig rig was dominating the airwaves. All right, let's get to the phone lines, and let's see what we got here. Let's get to, hang on a second. Let me get the right one. Let's get to Paul from Mechanicsville. You're on the air, Paul.
Hey, good morning. Boy, have I been super upset this morning. You know, you don't live in Hanover, and you haven't had to put up with Chris Peace for the last 12 years. His mother and they're the biggest Democrats that ever lived, took lots of money. We're tired of him voting. He is the one that's rigged. He is the one that's let crossover kill us in our voting. He rarely attends a Republican Party meeting, if ever. And we're tired of it. And it's not just the issue about Medicaid expansion. There's a whole lot of issues with Chris Peace. He's a liberal. Don't forget that. He's a liberal. He's a liberal. He's a liberal. And there's no rigging which is taking place. What we did is totally legal to prevent Democrats crossing over in our county to vote for Chris Peace.
Okay.
10-4.
Look, Paul, look. First of all, there was no transparency in this. I'm not arguing.
Yes, there was. People were invited to the meeting to call for the convention. Yes, there was.
Are you going to filibuster, or are we going to have a conversation?
All right, let her rip. Let her rip.
Okay, let's have a conversation, right? The ideological difference between your candidate, Scott the Rigger, and Scott Wyatt, and Chris Peace is not my concern. That's for the voters to figure out. So you have every right to challenge Peace on his voting record. You have every right to do that in a nominating process. My issue with Scott Wyatt is two things. One, that he was not transparent. Wyatt controlled the votes in Hanover County. 60% of that district is controlled by Hanover. He was the Hanover party chair, so he was able to determine that there would be a convention in lieu of a primary. After he did that, then he said, okay, now I'm going to run against Peace as I'm the candidate now. He should have said that at the beginning. He didn't do that. He had every intention to run, but he didn't want to do that because he wanted to get a convention which gave him a better chance. Then he gets the convention, then he files to run in the convention against Peace. He's got every right to do that. Had Scott Wyatt simply said, I want a convention, I'm chairman of Hanover Committee, I'm going to run against Chris Peace, and I got a better chance of beating him with a convention, and he was honest about it, I would have no problem with this, other than I hate conventions anyhow. I prefer primaries, but at least it would have been open and honest. It was underhanded and backhanded. That's my problem, not the ideological challenge.
John, listen, you're filibustering. That's not what happened. I was at the meeting. There were 3 people at the meeting. There were 2 votes to get away from the way we've been traditionally doing it, which allowed many a Democrat to vote and come in to vote again for a Republican primary. We, the Republican Party of Hanover County, supported the effort for Scott Wyatt. We recruited Scott Wyatt to run against him. Everything was open and transparent. That's not what happened. There were 3 people that had the right to vote.
That's not true.
2 out of the 3 voted to do
that
it.
That is fake news.
The way
that's
we're going
fake
to do
news
it.
That's fake news because when you were making the decision to go to a convention of which Scott Wyatt was one of the people that influenced that decision because of the control he had of Hanover. He never said he was going to be a candidate. All he had to do was say, I'm going to be a candidate. I am running against Chris Peace, and I prefer a convention. Now, you might not be happy with the outcome, but it would have been open and honest. He didn't tell anybody that. He waited until the convention was set.
It's totally open and honest.
He didn't tell anybody that.
Do you go to Hanover Republican Party meetings? Do you go to them? Have you ever been to them?
No, I don't go to your meetings, but everybody is. But there was no public statement that he was going to run for delegate except after he got a convention. So to me, that is non-transparent, and that's a rig job.
That is not accurate. That is not accurate. Hundreds of people that actually are Republicans and actually attend meetings in Hanover knew that Scott Wyatt was going to run because we recruited him. We want to change the liberal. He is a Democrat. Don't forget that. You can do all you want for Chris Peace. He's a Democrat. Don't forget it. He's a lifelong Democrat. His mother took so much money from the Democratic Party, it's not even funny. Anyway, thanks. Good luck.
I'm not debating your ideological challenge or what your positions are. I could care less. If you don't like him, beat him in a fair way. But you guys cheated in order to get a convention and then put your candidate up. And that's what I have issue with. The other thing that I have is we invited Scott Wyatt on our show. He was booked today at 7:35, and he canceled because he said, I'm not fair. How am I not fair? How am I not fair? Right? And so you hang up on me. What does that solve? You rigged the nominating process to benefit your candidate. That's what I'm opposed to. Either party, any side. I don't care what you think Peace is on the philosophical scale. He's got a voting record, up or down. Challenge him. But make it honest. Just like Bill Carrico did in Southwest Virginia. Retires, doesn't tell anybody except Todd Pillion, and then plans to announce his retirement 30 minutes after the filing deadline, and the only person that filed is his friend, House Delegates member and dentist Todd Pillion. That's called a rig job. And you guys rigged this, and now you're just mad because I've called you out on it. And that's the problem with not calling out Republicans when they try to rig these things. And I'll tell you the other thing. It's why I hate conventions. Every time you have a convention, people try to cheat. Every single time. Whether it's Ken Cuccinelli or whoever it is. Cynthia Dunbar, Scott Sayer, they get a convention in the Republican sphere, and then they try to cheat and rig it. That's why I hate them. They should be banned. I would like to get a chairman of the Republican Party of Virginia who would just ban them. Have a primary. Oh, Democrats voted in the primary. They got their own primary. And there is zero evidence that says that Democrats or Republicans crossing over influence. And if they do, they do. It's called a primary. You want to control it. That's your problem. That's why I hate conventions. And you rigged it, Paul. You rigged it, and Scott rigged it to Scott Wyatt's benefit. And you know you did. So just admit it. Be an honest rigger. Say, look, I rigged it, and I'm going to win, and we don't like Peace and whatever. That's fine. I have no issue with that. My issue is cheating. And this is killing the Republican Party in Virginia, which is a disaster anyway. And what is left of it, you want to keep crushing it over these stupid convention battles. That now we're having a fight on the air at 9:20 in the morning. This whole thing is ridiculous. Just for that, if I was there, I wouldn't vote for Scott Wyatt. I don't care what his positions are. He might be aligned with me on every position I have. Until Republicans stand up and stop this nonsense with these conventions and the rigging and the cheating and the Bill Carrico and the Pillion and the Scott Wyatt, until you stand up and say, I've had it, we're not doing this anymore, it is going to continue to happen with people in power manipulating this system. Here's their plan. Keep it small, control it all. Don't open it up. Don't have a primary. Don't make it big. Don't be transparent. Don't be honest. If we can just keep it really tiny and small, we can control it, even if we get our keister kicked election after election. That doesn't matter. As long as we can control our little enclave of power and we can manipulate the nominating process to help our preferred candidate, as long as we can do that, we don't care if we all lose, as long as we have this little teeny bit of power. Makes no sense. John Fredericks Radio Network. I'll be right back. It's great to have you back here on the John Fredericks Radio Network. Phone lines open, 888-480-JOHN. What do you think about these riggers? 888-480-5646. I'm going to spend another 10 minutes on this because it really gets under my skin. And just because you have the ability to manipulate a nominating process to benefit your candidate, let's just have a primary. And this nonsense about, oh, there's no voter registration, and so the Democrats vote in our primaries, and so because the Democrats vote in our primaries, then we can't control the system. It's all about control. Hey, I got a news flash for you. If Democrats are voting in your primary, maybe they like that candidate, just like Republicans can vote in Democratic primaries. It's called an open process. Maybe your candidates should appeal to more of a wide section of people. But no, let's have a convention. So then we can control everything. And Hanover controls 60% of the weighted vote and all that nonsense. I have my slide rule here, and so my guy from Hanover controls 60% of the vote. Therefore, we win. Let's not have a primary and allow people the opportunity to decide on a candidate. If you don't like Chris Peace as a Republican in District 97 or 98, whatever it is, 97, I think, vote him out. In a primary. Go to a primary, vote him out. You didn't like Eric Cantor, you voted for Dave Bratt. You voted Cantor out. Very simple. That's all you have to do. Vote him out. Let's see. Amanda Chase, 2015. You didn't like Steve Martin. She ran in a primary. She kicked his butt. She voted him out. It's a primary. She didn't try to go and manipulate the system and have a convention. No. She won a primary. Oh, but Martin, the Democrats, they crossed over and they voted for Martin. Really? She crushed Martin. And she's about as conservative as you can get. Oh, but the Democrats, they were going to cross over. That is such a baloney argument. The only reason you want conventions is so you can rig the system for the candidate that you prefer. That's the only reason. Cuccinelli, the convention rigging king of all time. You know what destroyed the Republican Party of Virginia? You know what destroyed it? Ken Cuccinelli destroyed the Republican Party of Virginia. And you know how he destroyed it? By manipulating the system and stacking the committees with pro-convention people in 2012, so they voted for a nominating convention in 2013 and gave Cuccinelli the nomination over Bill Bolling, who would have beaten him in a primary. Bill Bolling was a centrist, moderate Republican. He would have crushed Cuccinelli in a primary. But no, they go to a convention. Stack it for who? Cuccinelli. So Cuccinelli wins the convention, brings all his super conservatives out, they win, and then they nominate E.W. Jackson, who's a friend of mine. And I love E.W. And they get beat by Terry McGenius and Ralph Northam by 2 points. If Bill Bowling was a nominee, the Republicans win that by 7. But no, let's rig it and have a convention for our preferred candidate, Ken Cuccinelli, who can't win anyway, and let's, in the process, completely destroy the Republican Party of Virginia. But look, we nominated our guy. We rigged the convention. We got rid of the primary. And so look at us. Aren't we special? And they killed the party for, I don't know, a generation over that. It's the same thing. Same thing went on in District 6 with Cynthia Dunbar and Ben Klein. But you know what? Ben Klein beat her at her game. Same thing went on in CD5 with Dunbar again and Denver Riggleman. They try to rig that for Dunbar, and Riggleman beat him. So you try to rig and you get beat anyway. Have a primary. Make it open. Or if you're going to go to a convention, say, hey, my name is Scott Wyatt. I'm a Hanover supervisor, and I'm going to run for delegate against Chris Peace. And I am for a convention because that is an easier pathway of victory for me. I can't beat him in a primary. I don't have the resources, and I don't have the appeal. But I can beat him in a close-knit, controlled convention where I can manipulate all the rules. So vote for the convention to get Peace out. That's honest. But you were not honest about it. You lied. Because you never told anybody you were running. Unbelievable. John Fredericks Radio Network. Kirk Cox. The Democrats put a piece out, a fundraising piece today, earlier in the week, saying that Kirk Cox somehow has an affinity to the New Zealand white supremacist murderer. Outrageous. That when I get back. And on hold, let's get to Joanne from New Kent County. Joanne, you're on the line.
Good morning, Mr. Fredericks.
How you doing? Please call me John.
Great. I just wanted to chime in. I am so happy that you are bringing the attention of what's happening in the 97th District about Scott Wyatt challenging Delegate Chris Peace. There is a very motivated group all over the district. We're the peacekeepers. We're trying to get the word out that we believe there was a lack of transparency in Scott Wyatt's decision to use his position as head of the Hanover Republicans to vote for a convention versus a primary. And more people need to know. Everybody says, I want to vote for Chris Peace when they see our signs, that when they find out they have to do a convention. That's something that a lot of people aren't comfortable or knowledgeable about. So the more we can get this word out that we need to get out and support our delegate. And I appreciate you talking about this story.
Well, they rigged it. And as you said, Joanne, Scott Wyatt, who was a supervisor in Hanover, I'm sure he's doing a good job. I don't live in Hanover. But they manipulated the nominating process to a convention, which is you have to register as a delegate ahead of time. Then you have to go to Hanover High School on May 4th. It's a Saturday. You have to be there by 8:15 or by 10:15. Doors open at 8:15. But you have to go through a process. You've got to go to, and if you want to do it, you can go to chrispeace.com, sign up. You want to be a delegate, go through the process, sign the paperwork, and then, spend your day at Hanover High School on a Saturday, starting at 8:15 to 10:15 a.m., where you have to be there. The problem is with me, and again, whether you want to back Chris Peace or Scott Wyatt based on whatever issues they are, that's why we have elections. That's why we have a nominating contest. But Wyatt controlled the way the nominating process would be selected, primary or a convention. Wyatt controlled that. He didn't tell anybody publicly that he was a candidate, except for his cronies, like Bill Carrico did in Southwest Virginia. Only told his cronies, change the nominating process. Once it's a convention, he says, okay, now I'm in. He couldn't beat Peace in a primary because he didn't have the name ID or the resources, but he can beat him in a controlled environment where they can manipulate the rules. That's the problem I have with it. Does that make sense at all, Joanne?
Yes, it does. And there's a great many of us in the district who feel that way, too. So I hope that as more people find out what they need to go through to be a delegate for Chris Peace, it's really very little of their time. The convention will be only 2 hours on a Saturday morning. Come down, support your candidate, and then you'll have the rest of the afternoon to have a derby party or whatever. But I want to send a message out to let's support Chris Peace and put Scott Wyatt in his place.
In order to be a delegate to back Chris Peace, what do you have to do?
You have to go to Chris Peace website, sign up to be a delegate. You don't have to be a member of any party. You should be probably a Republican and be supportive of Chris Peace. You can go online and find the form, and I hope everybody will do that.
You can go to chrispeace.com. Do you have to pay a filing fee or anything?
No, there's nothing to pay. Once you fill out the potential delegate form, they'll make it very easy. They will email you and tell you what you need to do. It's going to require very little of your time, but I really encourage people to go and sign up to be a delegate.
Yeah, look, go and sign up. Go to chrispeace.com. And again, I don't agree with every position that Delegate Peace has. Now, I was certainly aligned with him for a very long time on reopening Colonial Downs, and I worked hard on that, and so did he. So on that, we're in a step with, and I appreciate the effort he made to bring all those jobs back to the area and to reopen Colonial Downs, of which, by the way, I have a box there for all of our fans to come on August the 10th. We're going to have a great time. So I'm aligned with him on that. I don't agree with everything he's done, but I don't care. That's why you have a nominating process. I just want fairness in it, and I want to stop the riggers. So if you're a Republican and you're tired of your party going down the tubes in Virginia because you have people like Scott Wyatt that rigged the system and changed the rules to benefit their little enclave, then go to chrispeace.com, sign up, get out there, and say, you've had enough. Until Republicans stand up and do that, this same crap is going to keep happening over and over and over again. And it's destroying the party from the bottom up. Thank you, Joanne. John Fredericks Radio Network, thank you. I appreciate that. Go to chrispeace.com. Look, I don't agree with him on everything. There's a whole bunch of things. But I want a fair process. These manipulating of nominating processes to benefit a candidate and then changing the system when you're there based on who's the convention manager, all that crap that goes on. What a waste of time. Why don't you put that energy into winning an election?